Good morning. Well, now, you can certainly guess where I am this morning. How are you doing? I just thought I'd pop on here now. I'm normally a little bit earlier than this, but today I've got to work, and so I thought, well, I'll nip down during my break and say hello to you here in Bowring Park. Hang on, I'll give you another little spin around and have a look. Isn't it marvelous? Look at the birds. Years ago, we used to have hens and roosters, and a rooster came along and bit a piece out of my calf. Well, you talk about hurt. In the meantime, ever since then, I've had a bit of a foul attitude about birds. That's a joke. Sorry. Anyway, so today is, this week is Spirit Week at St. Luke's Homes, which is where I work as my day job, as a music therapist. And so, anyway, every day is a different color. And so today is orange because the theme of the week is rainbow. I don't know, something about rainbows. I think it's in order to have a rainbow, you must have both rain and sun or something, or be a cloud in someone's, or a rainbow in someone's cloud. I don't know, but something like this. If you really need to know, I can fill it in later. I can't imagine anyone is on the edge of their pew wondering what the theme of the week is, but it is something about rainbows and, hope in a pandemic, that sort of thing. Apparently, it's mental health awareness in the States. The entire month of May is mental health awareness. I didn't know this. And for Canada, we decided a week was enough, and that was last week from the 6th to the 10th. So hopefully everyone's mentally healthy. And, someone said last week on our little video there, people are still chiming. Norway's still chiming in. God bless you, Norway, is what I say. And to you also, Haddon, out in BC. And to the various people all over the world who are looking in, and all over the ghouls too. Thank you for that. I appreciate that. And CBS. And, it's really nice. It's lovely to know where people are from. But anyway, someone said, next week is Nurses Week. I can't wait to hear what you're going to say about that. And so I got a bit of a fright, actually. I thought, my God, what am I going to say? And so I Googled this morning a nurse's joke. And so anyway, not a lot there, there wasn't a lot, but one that struck me was, when is the worst time to have a heart attack? And I thought, well, really any time is bad. And the answer is in a charades game. That was funny. Anyhow, I will tell you that at St. Luke's, we are blessed. We have many beautiful people as nurses, and very talented and giving and just doing the best job that they can. And years ago, we had this woman who came into the home, and she was quite old as she came in. She was very smart. And anyway, I think she was 87 when she came into the home, and her daughter was a nurse. And I said, Mabel, how come you decided to come into the home so late? I mean, you're so able and so astute and physically able. And she said, Sheila, my daughter just turned 70, and I thought it was time for her to live her own life. I thought, fair enough. But anyway, I said to her, Mabel, do you miss anything? From being on your own, do you miss anything? She said, Sheila, it's really wonderful here. I'll not deny it. But she said, I do miss every Thursday. My friend Mabel was only a small, tiny little woman, shorter than me. And she said, my friend used to pick me up every Thursday, my friend Margaret. And she was shorter than I am. And she said, and she would pick me up, and we would go to the Avalon Mall shopping. And so she said, when she picked me up one week, she was driving along, and I thought we had gone through a red light. And I looked in the rear view, and I thought, no, I shan't say anything. She said, because I looked over, and she seemed quite, with it. And she said, I won't mention it now. That was just probably, my mistake. And she said, we went through, that was on Stemps Lane. And then we went through the light on Crosby Road. And I looked again. I didn't want to mention it because I didn't want her to be vexed with me. So she said, I kept it to myself, and I was rifling through hearse. And then she said we flew through the light on Thorburn Road. And finally I looked over. My God, the wind just came up then enough to blow the hair off your head, if it was at all delicate. Anyway, she said finally when we went through that light, I looked over and I said, Margaret, I said, that's the third red light you've gone through. She said, I'm not driving, am I? I thought it was funny. Anyway, God bless her. Margaret should have been in a home herself. But, you know, I mean, here's an example of how people can still live their lives, you know, at 87. You know, when she was 90, she got asked out by a man at the home. He wanted to court her. That's the truth. This is a true story. And anyway, I said, Mabel, what'd you do? She said, well, Sheila, once you've had the best, you don't need the rest. I said, fair enough, isn't it? So I said, you're not going? No, she said, we're not going. Anyway, he died after. I don't think it was of a broken heart. He was 94 or 95. But anyway, God love you. I hope you're doing great. What is today? Thursday. So, you know, Spirit Week is important because what it does is it lifts our lives. You know, it's given everyone at the home a little lift because St. Luke's has given us free lunches and they've arranged bingo games, which I'm calling, which hate to be left out, and, you know, and coffee breaks and this sort of thing. And what that does, it allows us an opportunity to feel appreciated, firstly, and secondly, it lifts us up. You know, and times are tough. Times it's hard to be lifted. So I hope you're lifted today. God love you and have a great day. And don't forget, now look, if you haven't told me where you're watching from, put it in the comments. It's nice to hear from you. Love to you. Take care. Bye-bye.